Alright, Shalom. I like to say all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kadesh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS and the true leaders of Israel today. And salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, who risk their lives and their freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen, but are not, by way of their forefathers ceased, who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai. And the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as we're the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Akalia, and I'm a prophet sent by Yahweh Shemeshai to let you know of the things that are to come, to let you know of the Lord's promises, the Lord's mercies, as well as the Lord's judgments and the Lord's prophecies. Alright, I'm here to prophesy unto you, and with Bible prophecy comes both good news and bad news. The good news is that you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you're the Israelites, and that there is salvation for the nation of Israel. But then, there is only a remnant to be saved. So when it is that our Lord Yahushua returns, Yahushua is only going to deliver the elect of the nation of Israel, right? And then there's a portion of our people that is going to be destroyed, which means that when Yahushua returns, not every Israelite that will be on the planet is going to be saved. Some are going to be destroyed. Alright? Then you have as well the prophecies of Yahweh Shemeshai that are coming, which, you know, lead into that destruction as well. We have the time of Jacob's trouble, which is a time like never before upon us as a nation, the nation of Israel. We have the mark of the beast prophecy, which is the microchip. You have the judgments that are coming, the plagues that are going to be sent by Yahweh Shemeshai, or from Yahweh Shemeshai, such as the pestilences, the famine, the sword, terrible times. Alright, you have the famine of the word prophecy, which means that there's going to come a time when you people will no longer be able to hear the words of Yahweh Shemeshai anymore. The Lord is going to take that away from you. Alright, you have the prophecy of World War III, which that's building up day by day, which is going to happen over there in the so-called Middle East, which is really Western Asia. And of course, as well, you have the destruction of America, which is a mystery, Babylon the Great. No longer a mystery, as we know that in Revelation chapter 17, that it is talking about America. All right, America is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear fire. The ICBM missiles, which have been created, have a purpose, and their purpose is to destroy America. And when it is that they're on their way to America, the missiles, which is going to happen at the end of World War III, Yahushua is going to return and deliver the elect of the nation of Israel from the four corners of the earth, and 1/3 from America. And then those of our people that refuse to repent, refuse to return to our power, and would have also taken the microchip, they will be destroyed by the thermonuclear fire. This is the second death. Alright? Death by fire. The first death was death by way of water, which was a flood. Alright? So, all of these things are at hand, man. And the Lord has sent out the warning unto you, children of Israel. Alright? And the Lord has set up the prophets as that warning to constantly watch. In Isaiah chapter 62 and verse 6, I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, talking about you Israelites, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord Yahweh keep not silence. So we're going to constantly be prophesying until the time comes where we won't be prophesying anymore. Alright? But for now, the warning is out there. The Lord is letting you people know, and the thing about it is that the warning is out there right now. But as I said before, it's going to stop. And the period of time when that warning stops is going to be the famine of the word. But also in Revelation chapter 7, it says, and after, in verse 1, and after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power, and he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, hurt not, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. All right? And I heard the number of them which were sealed, that were of 144,000, and of all the tribes of the children of Israel. And then the rest of it mentions 12,000 from each tribe. All right? But also the point here is that the judgment is not going to come until the Lord's elect, the 144,000, is sealed. As it says, hurt not the earth, neither the trees, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. All right? So, right now, the elect of the nation of Israel is being gathered through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemishai. And so you have individuals, such as myself, Lord willing, I'm a part of that number, that I'm a part of the elect and a part of the 144,000. You have the men out there that have been woken up by the Lord and have been prophesying, and go out onto the highways and byways and prophesy regarding the things that are to come. Literally, prophesy, right? Everything that is written, we speak about that it is to come, and it is sure to come, as it says in the book of Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 11. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Okay? So, the prophecies of Yahweh Shemishai, the word of Yahweh Shemishai shall come to pass. Alright? None of the words are in vain. And so it is a sure thing that the judgments of the Lord are coming upon the world and upon the wicked unbelieving of our people that refuse to repent. Okay? And this is Jeremiah chapter 28 and verse 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, and of war and of pestilence, Salakia, and of great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence, right? So, in the book of Ecclesiastes, it says that there's no new thing under the sun. So, what you're witnessing right here, what I'm doing, it's not something that is new to the world. The Lord has always sent out his prophets unto the world to let the world know of the things that are to come. Okay? And it is really in this lifetime that y'all don't take heed to the prophets, man. Okay? Because there's a time when the Lord sent out the prophets, where when a prophet would approach the city gates, that the men that were in charge would go to the city gates and greet the prophet and tremble in fear of what it is that the prophet of the Lord would be bringing to the gates of the city, right? And many a times the prophets, as it says, have prophesied both against many countries, which is literally what we're doing right now. Of course, and I say we because it's not me, just me. You know what I'm saying? It is the entire brotherhood around the four corners of the earth, man, prophesying the downfall of Esau Edom's kingdom. And who's Esau Edom? The so-called white man. Alright? These so-called white people, their true biblical nationality is that they are the Edomites, and their forefathers Esau. And Esau was given a blessing in Deuteronomy chapter 27, that he would gain rulership. He would get he would have the fatness of the earth, the dew of heaven, and that he would rule by the sword, and that he would break the yoke off of his neck. Why? Because these Edomites and the rest of the heathen, they're really supposed to be our slaves, the slaves unto the Israelites. All right, because we were given the ultimate blessing. We were given complete and utter dominion of the earth, of the people, of the entire universe, as they call it, right? That's the word used. Okay? But we are now, in this period of time, prophesying the end of the rulership of the Edomites. As the prophets before us have prophesied of the end, all right, and prophesied many different, as it says, against many countries, right? We're doing the same here. And America shall be destroyed. Esau Edom is going to be taken out of power by Yahweh Shemishai. And that time is rapidly approaching. That's why, you know, regarding Bible prophecy, heading towards the manifestation of them, you can see how everything is building up day by day, right? Towards the fulfillment of the prophecies of Yahweh Shemishai, and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence, right? So, you know, the scriptures say, as I said, that there's no new thing under the sun, all right? And so the scriptures say that, you know, you come back in your lot. A prophet's lot is a prophet's lot, all right? Everybody comes back in their lot. And so we have done this many times before, or we have done this before. Let me say it that way. We have done this before, all right, because there's reincarnation, all right? So the prophets that you see today are some of the prophets that were then there during the time of the book of Acts, after you know, Yahushua passed, and then that awakening, all right? Those same men that were there are some of the same men that are here right now, okay? Prophesying the downfall of Esau and of evil and of pestilence, right? And of evil, okay? Because we're prophesying against the wicked, as the wicked are in rulership right now, the Edomites, the so-called white people. And so we're prophesying against wickedness. We're prophesying for righteousness. We're advocates for righteousness, which is the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemishai, which are the ways of our power. All right, we're an advocate for that. All right, and so we are against Esau's kingdom. So we rebuke all of the wickedness that this kingdom is, right? The lifestyle of this kingdom, the ways of it, everything, man. Because seeing as that the wicked are in rulership, as it says in Job chapter 9, verse 4. Let me get it verbatim. Job chapter 9 and verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof, if not, where and who is he? Right, so he covered the faces of the judges, because that's a part of the deception of the wicked, of the Edomites, right? They made the world believe that they're the Lord's holy chosen people when they're not. They have led the world to believe that they are pure and righteous when they're not. All right, they're actually the wicked, okay, and that they're the devil the Bible speaks of. And so they took away, you know, they beat our heritage again, out of us. You know, they put us into slavery and they fed us false doctrines and lies. And they took our own Bible, right, because it's the Bible of Yahweh Shemishai, and as thus the Bible of the Israelites. They took our own Bible and our own truth, and they used it against us. They changed it, they perverted it, okay, and they taught us something completely different and something completely vile, using the scriptures of the Lord, all right? And so they have our people believing in plantation Christianity, which is really the so-called white man's doctrine and interpretation of the scriptures however they wanted to twist it and turn it, and they fed it to our people, okay? So we are the judges, and our faces were covered because they perpetuated many lies. They changed who people are instead of naming the people as they are, such as the biblical nations. Instead, what they did was that they put different words upon the people, such as they called themselves white, they called us black, they called the other heathen nations different names, such as Arabs, Chinese, Japanese, Africans. Okay, they did all of these things to put as very high levels of confusion out in the world. This is a very great deception. Okay, but the earth has been given into the hands of the wicked, and so we rebuke that. we rebuke the wicked and the lifestyle of the wicked and their ways. So we do prophesy of war and of evil and of pestilence, right? Because many evil things are set to come. The judgments of Yahweh Shemishai are on their way. Okay, and this is what we're warning you people about, to repent, so that you don't hopefully, right? Because we're of the hopeful elect, right? That you hopefully don't take part in the terrible judgments that are coming from the Lord. All right, but the Lord also says a pestilence, right? And these are the signs that are coming. Okay, as it says in 2 Ezra chapter 15, and verse 1, it says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord." So this isn't by my own will. This is by the will of Yahweh Shemishai. Alright? And so it is the Lord that puts these words into the mouth of the prophet to bring forth this truth and cause them to be written in paper for their faithful and true. And Salakio, it is a very windy day, extremely so, and so it's constantly knocking down the podium and cause them to be written in paper for their faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee, the unbelief of them trouble thee, because our people, the majority, are simply not going to believe. The majority of our people are going to be against us. They're going to be scoffers and scorners, and they will do and say any and everything against the word of Yahweh Shemishai. They're wicked and they're evil, man. And they have a legion of demons upon them. Really, you know, spirits working on the left-hand side to influence them to do these things. Okay? For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. So there it is. For all of you Israelites that refuse to repent, refuse to return, not really turn, but return to our power Yahweh Shemishai, you're going to die. And it says, for all the unfaithful shall die of the unfaithfulness. And that only actually refers to an Israelite, because only an Israelite can have faith and only an Israelite can believe. As salvation is only for us and Yahweh Shemishai is only for us. Alright, contrary to other false doctrine that are out there where they're teaching that all nations can be saved, that all people will be saved, and that's why the Lord came, right? But that's false doctrine. Nothing is of that sort. And Yahushua only returned for the nation of Israel, and specifically of the elect of the nation of Israel. Okay? Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. So these things are coming, man. The sword, famine, death, and destruction. And remember, in Jeremiah 28, it also says that the prophets are prophesied against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence. And evil is going to be taking this world by storm, which are going to be the judgments of Yahweh Shemishai, which includes these plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, which also includes the pestilence. 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 6, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. So the world is wicked, and exceedingly so, because the people that are ruling are the wicked. They are the Edomites. And so, seeing as that they're in rulership, their ways of life has gone out to the four corners of the earth. And has destroyed the earth. It has destroyed the people as well, because the ways of the wicked are the ways of destruction. It is the ways of the wicked are the ways of the flesh, you see. And so when you have a world and a society driven by the deeds of the flesh, it is going to be completely wicked. So that's why it says, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. So this is why the Lord is going to destroy this place, man. Therefore saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. Right? So, those that are of the elect of the nation of Israel, right, that are of the hopeful elect right now, are continuously crying unto the Lord that we may be delivered from the hands of our enemies, and so that this vile wicked kingdom will be torn down. Okay? And that Yahushua returns as soon as possible. Alright, because we don't like to see this situation at hand. We don't like that the wicked are in rulership. We don't like that the ways of wickedness are promoted and exalted in this world. We don't like it. We hate it. Alright, the captivity of it all. We hate it. So we're continuously complaining unto our power to end it. And the Lord hears us. Alright? And therefore, saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Alright? And so Esau Edom, the so-called white man, right, we have suffered under his rulership. And so we are slaughtered all the day long, day in, day out. We're still in captivity. As it says in the book of Baruch chapter 3 and verse 8, it says, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power. So we're suffering under the curses, and that's how you're able to identify who the Israelites are. Alright, and we're yet this day in our captivity, this very day. Alright, we're not serving the same kind of slavery as we did before, but we're still in captivity, and it's still terrible. Okay, it's still just as bad. It may not be as terribly physical with the way it was, you know what I'm saying, but the captivity is still terrible, man, upon us. Alright, so going back to 2nd Ezra chapter 15, okay, it says, behold, verse 2nd Ezra 15 verse 10, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. So it says to strike Egypt with plagues as before. So that means it's not talking about ancient Egypt that we were in fact delivered out of. This is talking about a different kind of Egypt. This is talking about the modern day Egypt. And what's the modern day Egypt? America. Alright, so let's go to Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8. And it says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is talking about America. Right? Mystery Babylon the Great. Which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. So that great city, which is America, is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, and it takes on to the same spirit of Sodom and Gomorrah, and also ancient Yemen, also ancient Egypt. Alright? Takes on to that same spirit. And so America is that modern day Egypt, which is a modern day captivity for the Israelites. And so the modern day Egyptians are those the Edomites, man. Okay, those so-called white people. Right? Then you have as well in Deuteronomy chapter 28, and verse 68, it says, and the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again. So the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again, which is bondage again, right? But also literally to that place of bondage, which is America, again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again, right? Modern day Egypt, which is America, all right? And everybody knows, all right, about the slavery by way of ships. Even though I've heard in these recent days that Esau Edom is starting to teach the narrative differently. Sitting up here talking about that our people, the so-called Negroes that went into slavery, did it willingly. That's what they're trying to teach the children now that are coming up. All right, but for those of us that were taught the real truth and know it, all right, it was in fact our people. And then I must make it clear, all right, because it didn't start with the Negroes in 1619. It actually started with the Northern Kingdom Israelites, the so-called Latinos and Native Americans. It started with our people of the Northern Kingdom first in 1492, when Christopher Columbus came over here to the Americas looking for the children of Israel, and Esau Edom, the so-called white man, revealed that in their move in 1492. They said that they knew that there was land over here because of what Esdras said. Esdras, talking about the prophet Esdras, which you can find his account in the Apocrypha, which is a part of the Bible, the King James Version of the Bible. All right, so the captivity, started with in 1492 with the Northern Kingdom, then 1619 the so-called Negroes, and then we have been facing this captivity together as one. Okay, which actually is the first time since ancient Egypt where both the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom had to serve the captivity together. Okay, so yeah, man, the Lord has brought us into Egypt again, which is that place America. So going back to 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 10, it says, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Right? So modern day Egypt is going to face this again. We were delivered out of ancient Egypt in very magnificent fashion, and ancient Egypt faced many plagues, right? We all know about the plagues that ancient Egypt faced, and so modern day Egypt is going to face these same plagues once again. All right, and the Lord, right, is going to deliver us out of this modern day Egypt, out of these same plagues that were experienced during the ancient day Egypt. All right, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that our power shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. All right, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. So this is talking about the time that is coming, which this is the time of Jacob's trouble. This is Jeremiah chapter 30. And verse 4. And these are the words that the Lord Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah, referring to the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom respectively. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. So it is important, to visualize, these scriptures, because, the Lord has given us a very descriptive account of what is coming, because of the level of fear that the Lord is going to be bringing upon the earth. All right, the evil that is coming, right? As it said that many prophets have prophesied of many evils to come. Okay, so the evil is coming, and so it says, and all faces are turned into paleness. Have you ever heard of that true fear isn't when you're running and just screaming? True fear is when at the highest level is when you're petrified, where you're unable to move, where the breath is taken away from you, where the blood rushes away from the face. You ever heard of that before? So this is what I envision, because it says all faces are turned into paleness, right? From all of the fear. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And it is those that believe in Yahweh Shemishai that are going to be saved out of Jacob's trouble when Yahweh returns. Those are members of the elect. Right? But many of our people, all of Israel is going to face Jacob's trouble. But those that are going to perish from Jacob's trouble are going to be the wicked, unbelieving of our people. And that's going to be the majority of our people, man. Alright? So, Jacob's trouble is coming. Now, 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14, going on down, reads an account. The account of what is going to be transpiring during Jacob's trouble. So it says, for the 2nd Ezra 15 and verse 15, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and when people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. So because of the times that are coming that are going to be so terrible, right? People are going to be fighting one against another. You're going to have all kinds of skirmishes going on over there, especially in America. Especially America, because America is that main place. America is Mystery Babylon the Great. Alright, and you can see it already brewing in America. The tensions between the people. You have people against one another for all types of reasons. Okay? Because America, right? You see, America is this great mixing pot, the great melting pot as they've called it. And America is not only the spiritual Sodom and Egypt, America is also the rebirth of the Roman Empire. America is also simply that place. Alright, so America being Mystery Babylon the Great came back to memory. Babylon goes back to Babal, which is confusion. So America, right? Remember that America takes on to the spirit of all of these places. So it's a place of great confusion where it has a multitude of different kinds of doctrines and different kinds of beliefs out there in America, which this has been perpetuated by the so-called white man, Esau Edom, intentionally. They intentionally want things to be confusing. They intentionally want there to be all kinds of disparity in thought of the people. Nobody, you see, the thing about it is this. There's only one way to live, which is the way of the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemishai. And so when the kingdom of heaven is established, which is going to be ruled by our Lord Yahushai, and as such ruled by the Israelites, is going to be a dominion governed by the ways of our power Yahweh Shemishai, the law, statutes, and commandments. And as such, that is the way to live. You see what I'm saying? There is only one way to live. There isn't like, oh, do you commit adultery or do you not commit adultery? There's only one answer. You do not commit adultery, and that is the way to live. But in Esau's society, in Esau's kingdom, under his rulership, he leaves it open. He allows for adultery to commence, and then because of the way of the world and everything, whether people commit adultery or not, it is something that people just don't care about. You see? So you have people who believe that adultery is bad, and then you have people that don't believe adultery is bad. You see what I'm saying? And this is just one example, because let's take a look at individuals in America. Okay? People in America have all kinds of different kinds of beliefs. You will find the, let's say an Israelite, right? You'll have a so-called black man that is a so-called Christian, but also he lives the lifestyle, for example, of a Rastafarian, but then also he believes in the doctrine of do as thou wilt, and so he's living by many different kinds of doctrines. You see what I'm saying? And so then he has somehow conjured up his own belief and his own way of living, which is then going to be different from the other person, because another person believes in all kinds of different kinds of beliefs and doctrines. You see what I'm saying? So there's a whole lot of confusion and belief out there in America, which then is already leading to many tensions among the people in America. You can see it, man. It is not only nation against nation, as in race versus race. You also have just different beliefs and different doctrines where people clash over. You have something as simple as some people like veganism or whatever. You have people who literally fight against one another who are those that only eat fruits and vegetables or whatever against those who do not. All right? So there's a lot of confusion. So when it says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and when people shall stand up and fight against another and swords in their hands, you're going to have all kinds of skirmishes, civil war. All right, you're going to have people going against one another, people hating each other and fighting against one another because of their race and their belief and all of these kinds of things. All right. And then as well, because of the calamities that will be happening, the famine, the pestilence, everything, people are going to lose it, because people are going to be losing everything. All right, it says, a man shall desire, Salakia, it says, for there shall be a sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So, because of the times that are coming, you're going to have chaotic times. You're going to have famine. You're going to have economic collapse. You're going to have pestilences. You're going to have draconian measures put in place, which we recently actually experienced during the pandemic in 2020. So it's not a far-fetched idea. But you're going to have all kinds of things happening, and people are going to lose everything. They're going to lose their livelihoods. They're going to lose their homes. They're going to lose their cars. They're going to lose their savings. They're going to lose everything. So then the people are going to be going out into the streets, and there's going to be a sedition among men. A sedition conduct, it says conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. So the people of the world, they're going to be against their leaders, their mayors, their prime ministers, their presidents, the police, the army, whoever, man. They're going to be against those that are in charge and dictate to them what they should do. All right, they're going to be out in the streets, and many movies have shown it. All right, one movie that comes to mind is Bushwick, that starred Brittany Snow. All right, in Bushwick, I haven't watched it recently, but I remember like the chaos started to brew. All of a sudden, you know, there was just chaos in the streets, and so that is going to happen again. I think it happened in the movie World War Z as well, if I'm remembering correctly. I think it was a movie with Brad Pitt, but it shows of the terrible time, right, of people arming themselves and going out into the streets and fighting for the last bit of resources that are left, especially the food. These times are coming, man, and they're coming very, very soon. Sooner than you may think. Verse 17, a man it says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. And why is that? Because of martial law. Draconian measures are going to come, right? You're going to have draconian measures put in place. For all kinds of reasons. And then when it is that the people start acting up and acting out, there are going to be more draconian measures, and there is going to be martial law. Whether it be martial law, a medical martial law, because you know, another pandemic is coming, right? And that narrative is building day by day. By the bird flu, and now the C19 is back on the horizon again. That narrative started to build once again very strongly just this past week, where they've been talking about that it hit the shores of America, it hit New York City and then other states in America, the new variant of the C19. And then they said that it hit the shores just a few days ago of the UK. And then they also said that it's actually spreading globally. And then, although it hasn't been reported as yet out here in Jamaica, I have received word from 2 different medical professionals, a doctor and a nurse, that has said, yes, the COVID is back. And then I also received news that they said that the COVID has been here in Jamaica since January, the C19. And then they said that don't be surprised that lockdowns are coming again, and that lockdowns are don't be surprised to see back in Jamaica. All right, and that they said as well that the hospitals are starting to become overwhelmed because of it. So that the pestilence is coming, man, because, you know, the scriptures does say it, that pestilence is a part of these end times. And the scripture before mentioned Egypt, right? And I'm brought out that America's modern day Egypt, but out of ancient Egypt we were delivered out of the pestilences that were occurring. So it shall happen again. Okay, the bird flu narrative, we're literally experiencing the ramifications of that, egg shortages. Okay, pestilence not only can attack the people, but it can also attack the food. And as we saw from 2020, it also can affect the supply chain, which it has done, and we're still feeling that. All right, the inflation of it all and everything, man. All right, but the martial law is coming. Okay, and it can be brought about by any means, because even from the whole pandemic situation, right, the World Health Organization brought out the pandemic treaty, which was signed. And then of course you have America that is kind of fighting against it, but the other countries around the world have signed it. And they themselves have declared that another pandemic is coming, that it could be in a few years or it could be tomorrow. But what we do know is that the prophecies of Yahweh Shemishai shall come to pass. And the scriptures say in the book of Corinthians, chapter 2, I think it's, let me get it. Second Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11, lest Satan, talking about the so-called white man, should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So we're not ignorant of the devices of the devil. All right, the Lord has given us the eye salve, and so we're privy to his tactics. And so we know a part of his tactics is that he speaks about the things that he's going to do before he does it, right? They call this, the wicked elite of Esau Edom, they call this the revelation of the method, where the elites tell us through their books, publications, movies, and news releases what they're doing. All right? So they intentionally tell us. Okay? So it is coming, man. It is coming for sure. But as I mentioned before, it starts first because of the prophecy of Yahweh Shemishai. That's how we know for sure. But we know it's getting sooner because of everything that's happening in the world, as the scriptures say in 2 Ezra chapter 9, to measure the time diligently. And as I read before, we are watchmen. So based on everything that's going on in the world, as it develops heading towards prophecy, we can boldly claim that it is coming to its end, right? Going back to 2 Ezra chapter 15 and now verse 18, for because of their pride the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So this is what's coming, man. Desolation of the cities. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation, right? For the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So people are going to be acting up because of the lack of bread, the famine. And so Esau Edom, the wicked elite, they know that famine is going to be a very major tool in establishing their new world order. And as they have a motto, order out of chaos, order ab chaos. So they intentionally bring chaos to the world and then they establish a new order out of it. You see? So everything is manufactured. As we're not ignorant to Satan's devices, we know that the Lord has given Esau the wisdom and certain wisdom and certain technology. So they have wisdom to be able to create certain things, right? Certain plagues, certain diseases, and they can unleash that onto the world. They have certain technology that they can affect the weather. They have certain technology that are weapons that we saw, right, during the California fires earlier this year. The DEW weapon. We know that they can easily start the famine, which they're already bringing it in. You see what I'm saying? And one of the ways that they're bringing it in is that it appears that they're using a pestilence in the form of a bird flu to affect the food supply. They're saying it can affect the cattle as well, and it can really affect anyone, and it's already affecting the poultry and the byproduct of that. So the devil will bring chaos to this world to establish his new order, right? And the scriptures say, man, in Revelation chapter 6 and verse 8, it says, and I looked, and behold, a pale horse, talking about Esau Edom, the so-called white man. And his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, which is talking about America, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So you see, it says power was given unto them to kill with sword and with hunger. So to kill with hunger, right? So he will be bringing about the famine. And they've already brought that out, man. As I read the revelation of Method, right? There's a certain movie clip that has been brought out of the wicked elite of Esau Edom talking about what their plans are for their NWO. I believe it was a movie that came out maybe in the 70s or 80s or something like that. And when the man is talking about everything, right, the last part that he talks about when regarding establishing the control that they desire to have, they spoke about taking away the food, bringing about the famine. So it's a very serious thing. So going back to 2 Ezra 15 and verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So the lack of bread, the famine, is going to draw out a lot of people, and just for the general great tribulation that the people of the world will be experiencing, right? Because people are going to be losing everything, including their loved ones. And when people have nothing to lose, they go crazy, okay? And this is a world that has not experienced, certain things. So you have people haven't lived the lives and experienced certain calamities and certain judgments the way that it was in like the ancient days. You get what I'm saying? People are much softer now, right? This is a society that didn't experience, especially here in the West, right? Didn't experience certain war and experience their loved ones dying by war or by famine or by pestilence and stuff like that. All right, so this society is definitely going to break down and collapse, man, mentally and physically. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So there it is again. People are going to be murdering each other, slaughtering one another, and destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation, right? Because you see, when the famine is coming in, which is already low-key started, because it happens in stages, right? So right now it's going to be like the food supply chain starts to get hit, and then the world starts to experience where there's like inflation happening, where the prices increase. So from that, people's purchasing power goes down. They already start to consume less food. Then eventually the food, just in general, well, you know, one way is that the inflation starts to get so high that people really can't even afford food. You know what I'm saying? So that's one way, and I'm sure that is coming. But also the other way is that simply because of various different factors, such as perhaps war or economic collapse and turmoil, you know, the food supply just becomes less, or also because of pestilence, right? That the food supply just becomes less. So then in the grocery stores, they become less and less, and then there becomes a whole rationing thing, right? So let me get some precepts on that, man. You have the whole rationing of it all, and then eventually the rationing leads to just famine, where they're going to announce that there's no food. So first of all, I described it in stages, so I want to bring it out as such. In Ezekiel chapter 4 and verse 16, it says, "Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment." So let's break it down. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem. So the Lord is going to break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, which means that the Israelites are going to experience food shortages, right? Food is going to become less scarce. Well, not less scarce, it's going to become scarce, right? And they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. All right, so this is talking about the rationing, right? Because when it is that the famine is coming in, and the grocery stores made the announcement of you can only go, because it's happened already, right? During the pandemic out here in Jamaica, they were saying to us that you could only go to the grocery store on a specific day based on your last name, right? So they will only allow you to purchase a certain amount of food. Like right now, you go to the grocery store, they either don't have eggs, or they're telling us that you can only buy a certain amount of eggs. That is what is coming. And then because of that, because food is going to become scarce, then people have a certain amount of food in the house, and then people will have to be like, okay, well, a loaf of bread, you can only eat one slice of bread per day, because then you can only go back to the grocery store by this time next week. So you're going to have to make the food that you were able to purchase, you have to make it last for that week, the food and the water. You see what I'm saying? And then it's going to reach to 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 22, where it says, "And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty." So all of the grocery stores, you know, in America, I know they got Publix, they got Kroger's, you got Walmart, you got Target. Out here in Jamaica, you have Hilo, you have General Foods, you have Mega Mart, Price Mart, all of those places, man. These places are going to be found empty of food. All right. "And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid." So the announcement is going to be made that, you know, the food is short, and we're going to have to ration the food, and perhaps that there are, because like out here in Jamaica, right? I believe it's like the food out here in Jamaica, 90% of it is from imports or something like that. So Jamaica relies very heavily on the ships to come to supply the nation with food. So imagine if the ships stop coming to Jamaica. Imagine it. Because the grocery stores, replenish at least twice a week. At least twice a week, perhaps even more. So if the grocery stores need to replenish at least twice a week to upkeep with the amount of consumption out here in Jamaica, imagine when the ships are no longer coming and then the country has to sustain on that 10% of food in the country. It's through. Jamaica's through. Very easily. This kind of distress and anguish can occur in less than 2 weeks. Truly. And then, when it is that all of this is happening, do you really think that people are just going, like, who do you think is going to be affected first? The lower class, the poor people. So their purchasing power is already weak. So when the inflation is occurring, which is already occurring and it's going to spike, they're going to be the ones affected first. They're not going to be able to buy food first. It's going to be ration. They're going to experience the rationing first. Then when it becomes worse, they're going to be the ones that are going to be experiencing starvation first. You think they're really going to sit up there when it comes to the famine and they're going to sit there and starve and die when they know that there are other people, the middle class and the upper class out there that have food? Do you think they're really going to sit there and die? No. They're going to go out and they're going to murder people for their food and for their resources. That's why in 2 Ezra 15 it talks about a man shall attack his neighbor because of the lack of food and for great tribulation. So it's going to be really terrible. Alright, so the announcement is going to go out, and then it says, at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. Those who were friends, best friends, they're going to become enemies, man, because it's going to be every man for himself. Okay, families are going to be torn apart. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. So food, a famine, man, food and water is coming. And the famine is going to be so sore upon the people that is going to lead to cannibalism as well. Cannibalism is coming back. I mean, it's still here, right? It's still here. You have the wicked elite of Esau, Edom, and their spirit cooking, and all of their vile, nasty, abominable things that they do on the left-hand side. You know, all of those rituals that they do. And then you just have cannibals out there in the world. You have people with the legion of demons upon them, where, you know, they enjoy eating human flesh. It's a very disgusting thing. All right, but it's going to come back in a very major way because of the famine, and those who never had an appetite for human flesh are going to consume human flesh because of how sore the famine is going to be. They should be terrifying hearing this. Yapa Yahabe Shimishai. 144. But yeah, the famine is going to lead to cannibalism. In Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 20, it says, and he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and he shall eat on the left hand, and they shall not be satisfied. You see, so they're going to snatch on it. Let me see what snatch says. Ooh. Snatch. From the Hebrew word gazar, it says to cut off, to be destroyed, to divide, to cut in two. Right? So, he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and he shall snatch. So, you know, people are going to be chopping each other up, man. Alright? And some people are even going to be consuming themselves. Unfathomable, I know, but the scripture says it's going to happen. So it is going to happen. It's going to be that terrible. And they shall not be satisfied. They shall eat every man the flesh of his own arm, you see? So he's going to eat the flesh of his own arm. So they're going to cannibalize one another, but they're also going to cannibalize themselves. Do you see how terrible that is? But y'all people sit up here and take the words of Yahweh Shemishai lightly. The warning that is going out to you all, man. Hearing about the famine and starving and becoming cannibals is terrifying. And the Lord is going to do this unto you Israelites, man, if you don't repent. Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 9. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. Salakio, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger, for these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. So the scripture says that it is better to die of the sword than to die of hunger. It is better to die by a gunshot wound or by getting your head chopped off. You know, you have the modern day sword, right? And then you have the ancient day sword. But regardless, however the sword comes at you, you know what I'm saying? And really the sword is anything that slays you. You know what I'm saying? But it's better to die that way than to die of hunger, because how does one perish from hunger? It's a process. It's a process of the body deteriorating, right? The body deteriorating and collapsing from starvation and thirst. Okay? It says the hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people, you see? So it says the hands of the pitiful women have sodden their children. Let's look at the word sodden, which is bashal in the Hebrew. It says to boil, cook, bake, roast, and ripen. So let's read it over. The hands of the pitiful women have baked, cooked, boiled their own children. So this is coming again, man. The famine is going to be so sore that people are going to be consuming their own children. Because the children are going to die. Perhaps it's a baby, right? A baby dies, and then there's no food, and people are going to be conflicted. But because the famine is going to be so sore, they're going to look at that dead child and they're going to eat it. Yeah. Some will even murder their own children and then consume them because of how sore the famine is going to be. Yeah. It's going to be that terrible. It really is. And that's just on the forefront of famine, right? Because there are many other judgments that are coming as well. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children, have baked, cooked their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. And what's coming? Jacob's trouble, which is going to be another destruction of the daughter of my people, right? But it's not going to be an utter destruction. It's going to be the destruction of the wicked, unbelieving of our people. You see what I'm saying? These judgments are for them. So if you are in this truth and you believe, you're gonna be fine, man. As the scriptures say, right? It says that my servants shall eat. So we're gonna be fine, man. The Lord is gonna feed us during this time in all kinds of different ways. But for our people that refuse to repent, the multitude that were born in vain, as the scriptures say, let the multitude perish then that were born in vain. Those are the ones that are going to face these judgments, man. They're not for us, of the hopeful elect and of the elect, you know, Lord willing. All right. So it is nothing. It's not for us to fear, but we do fear Yahweh Shemishai. All right. We do fear the Lord to be saved. All right, and we do have a fear of these things as well. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. So the famine is coming, and it is going to be by design onto the world. And so Esau Edom, the so-called white man, wants to establish his NWO, which we already know it's all going to be in vain. Because as the scriptures say, in Job 5 verse 12, he disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. So they have a vision, they have a goal in mind, which is their NWO. And you know, it's low-key been masked under the guise of the intelligence age as the fourth industrial revolution, which is the new age dominated by technology and artificial intelligence, you see. And it is this because at the forefront of their NWO is the microchip, which is the mark of the beast, which everything that they are doing right now and will be doing in the future and have been doing in the past is so that they can bring about, which is the mark of the beast, a society which is sustained on artificial intelligence and the microchip, and a lifestyle that is lived by way of people being merged with the technology and living a life where they seamlessly communicate with the technology day by day. You see what I'm saying? So they're building an entire system, but as I just read, he disappointed the device of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. We know that it's all for naught, it's all going to fail. So we know already that Esau Edom is going to fail. We know that we have the victory, but we have to live through it. All right, and so what we have to live through is the upcoming time of the mark of the beast prophecy, which is a microchip. This is Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So the he that will be causing this is the wicked elite of Esau Edom, right? Because the Edomites are in rulership and this is their kingdom, these so-called white people, right? But there's always order, even among the wicked. So there's a ruling class who are the elite bankers, right? You have the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, all of those families that control the means of production, and they're the ones that, you know, they're the elite bankers, right? They're the ones that plan to put forth their NWO with the microchip at the forefront of it. Both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. So they intend to microchip the entire world. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. It's going to become mandatory worldwide to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. So the scriptures say a right hand or in their foreheads. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So here it is. He's going to cause the entire world, right, to receive a microchip, right, and that is going to become mandatory. I say it's mandatory because it says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast. So unless you have the microchip, you won't be able to buy or sell, which means that unless you have the microchip, you won't be able to conduct business. You won't be able to go to the grocery store. You won't be able to go to the clothing store. You won't be able to go to anywhere and make purchases unless you have the microchip. You also will be unable to conduct business unless you have the microchip. You have to be a part of the system. And so they are implementing the system right now. Okay? They're implementing the system because remember, they're moving towards a digital society, a cashless society. The intelligence age / fourth industrial revolution is that, a digital society, a technology ran on technology, right? So they're implementing these things. They're implementing the new payment way. They're getting rid of the old payment system, which we know it right now, right? Backed by the dollar, which is the world reserve currency, and they're implementing a new digital payment system, which are these central bank digital currencies, which are being developed worldwide. Okay? You can Google it. Out here in Jamaica, the central bank digital currency has already been launched. All right? So the digital payment system is being built. Then you have the digital identification system which is being built, which the digital identification system is going to be that digital ID which is going to be stored onto the microchip, right? Because when you break down the word mark, okay, at G5480 it says charagma, a stamp and imprinted mark. So the charagma is a literal physical microchip. When you break it down further, you get the Charax, which is G5482, which it says a pail or a stake. So that is something with a sharp end, with a sharp end, right? And it punctures, okay? So it says to sharpen to a point. So when you look at the microchip and how it's administered, it is talking about the device that is used to administer the microchip. So that device, if you Google it, it punctures the skin, and then they press it and it inserts the microchip into the hand. Then you break it down further, which is G1125, which is grapho, which says to write with reference to the form of letters, to delineate or form letters on a tablet, parchment paper, or other material. All right, so in what was called the ancient day, they stored, information onto or they wrote information onto, the parchment paper, the tablets, all these kinds of things. But the modern way of doing that, is by way of the technology, and that microchip is a form of the modern day technology, right? And that microchip, it will say, and then it says to express in written characters, to commit to writing things not to be forgotten, write down, record, right? So the microchip has all of this data on it regarding an individual, okay? Because right now the microchip is up and running. You have people worldwide at this point who are microchipped, who are using the microchip, and the way that it works is that they connect their biometric data and their financial data to a system, which then the system is transferred onto the microchip, and then the microchip has all of that information on it, and it is used to present that information to the technology that works with it, which right now the technology works with it, because in certain places like America, the UK, Europe, people with the microchip can go to a vending machine, and the vending machine is able to read the microchip that is inserted into the people's hand, and it pays for what they want, from the vending machine to the various different stores to the train station, right? Which then shows you that the microchip, it shows you the state at which it's at, because it's showing us that the microchip is already accepted at these point of sales machines in these stores, right? So it shows you that it really is up and running, okay? So with the digital ID is intended to store every single thing about you. First of all of your personal information. Then it's intended to store, and this has been pushed by the World Economic Forum, and now it is pushing ahead in every single country worldwide. And so the digital ID is going to store all of your healthcare information, right? Your financial information, your bank accounts, your travel and mobility, so your passports and all of that is going to be stored onto your digital ID. Humanitarian response, e-commerce, your internet identification is going to be stored to your digital ID. And they've spoken about that as well. So being anonymous on the internet is going to be a thing of the past very soon. Social platforms as well is going to be tied to your digital ID. So your Instagram, your Twitter, which is now X, and all of those things are going to be tied to your digital ID. So you won't be anonymous on your social media anymore. Government services as well, it says e-government. Your government services are going to be attached to the digital ID. So in order to access services from the government, you're going to have your digital ID. Telecommunication, smart cities. So the smart cities are mentioned in the digital ID because the smart cities are a part of the system itself, because it all ties in together. Remember, individuals who take the microchip are going to be merging with the technology, then they're going to be using the microchip in these smart cities slash 15-minute cities as a part of their daily lives. Every single thing they do in their life is intended to be used by the microchip. So when they go to the doctor, they have to use their microchip for identification and to gain access to services. When they go to their local government for in-person services, they're going to have the microchip, or else they won't be served. You won't be able to buy or sell unless you have it. You're going to be cut off from society unless you have the microchip. This is where it's all heading towards. And so the system is being implemented from the central bank digital currencies to the digital identification system to as well the artificial intelligence infrastructure that's been put in place. Out here in Jamaica, Jamaica has launched the digital ID and the central bank digital currency. But where Jamaica is behind regarding certain other places around the world, especially over there in the east, is the digital public infrastructure. Jamaica's very behind, right? Because the cities have to be able to facilitate the usage of the microchip as they envision, right? So everything has to be put online. So Jamaica has a very huge issue right now with gaining access to the internet. Right now I'm at the park, you know, I'm at one of the parks in Jamaica, and they don't even have free Wi-Fi at the park for me to get. You know what I'm saying? So Jamaica has to get online. And so Jamaica has made its move. Let me get it. Jamaica has joined a campaign called 50 in 5, which is a digital public infrastructure campaign, right? Which is to accelerate Jamaica moving towards a digital society. And so this campaign has not only Jamaica, but it also added Mexico at that time. So this happened in March, right? Over like a month ago at this point, which this entire campaign also has to deal with biometrics and digital IDs and everything. Okay, so there are other countries as well that are a part of it, but I bring out Jamaica, I'm out here. Okay, then it says as well Jamaica is working on something called the SPEED program, which is about streamlining processes for efficiency and economic development, which right now their way of doing that is by heading towards a digital society. You see? So hearing this information, you take a look at what's going on in the world, you Google it. You Google everything, digital public infrastructure, you Google smart cities, you Google 15-minute cities, you Google digital identification, you Google central bank digital currency, you Google RFID microchip, biometric microchip, you Google RFID technology, you Google NFC technology. All of these things are working together to bring about Esau's vision, right? His goal, which is his NWO. This is what we're in the midst of. And a part of how he's going to do that is by tearing down society. That's why the supply chain has been affected. That's why economic collapse is bound to happen, because they're getting rid of the current way of living, the current monetary system, and they're going to implement their new system. And then the microchip itself, okay, is also the new level of slavery that they're going to be putting upon the world. Because when they microchip you, they're going to be able to track you in every single way, from the second that you wake up to the second that you go to sleep. Every single action that you do, they're going to have control of that, right? They'll be able to see it, okay? So they'll know every single thing you do at every single point in time. And then also everything is going digital, because with the cash money, they're unable to track every single transaction. They want full and utter complete control. This is what they're doing, man. But as I read before, it's all for naught. It's going to be destroyed. Regarding the development, because I'm just going to read a few of these. Liberia makes biometric ID cards mandatory for citizens and residents. So Liberia has made its biometric ID cards, which is its digital identity, mandatory for citizens and residents. So then that speaks to the vision, right? So it's not just about speaking about the process anymore. Things are literally happening, because this is a stepping stone. Digital ID is going to be mandatory for Liberia. It's going to be mandatory for everywhere around the world. Just a stepping stone heading towards where the microchip is going to be mandatory to be operating in society, you see? So it's already happening. You have digital IDs take root in US as state and federal agencies chart on certain paths. So digital IDs are being built up in America. It's a little different than in other places because other places are talking forthright about their digital ID. But in America, they're bringing it in a more subtle way, right? They're bringing it in like, they're getting like the public transport and the public transport workers to have like a digital, you know, like the taxi drivers to have like a digital pass, what's it called? Like a digital heritage, a mobile driver's license and electronic identity documents, right? So they're bringing it in, okay? But the entire world is doing it. And then as well, some news came out that, a few weeks ago, that the airports are going completely digital and you're going to need to have your digital passport in order to travel. Your digital passport is going to be connected to your digital ID. You see how it's all tying in? And it's all literally happening in real time. So the prophecy is very close to coming to pass. Okay, just some more, because I have a whole bunch that I've been holding on to. Laos readies national digital ID card rollout. So just another country rolling out their digital ID. Moldova launches digital ID card, takes another step to align with the electronic digital ID system. So boom, there it is. Countries worldwide doing it. Pakistan updates digital ID system under new biometric policy framework. So all of these countries worldwide, and you know, you can Google each country individually. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna sit out here and bring out every single country around the world. You know, a part of this truth is, well, if you truly believe, you're going to be doing independent research regarding, you know, the prophecies, especially this prophecy, if you truly believe. You know what I'm saying? Whether it is that you're a prophet of the Lord, or if you're, you know, a part of the 1/3, a part of the elect. You know what I'm saying? The Spirit is going to be upon you to like do some research, to look out. All right? But yeah, man, when you do research on all these different countries, all of them are developing this just at different rates, right? But the digital public infrastructure is also very important, because look at the situation now. The microchip in the hand, that's up and running. Payment, it's allowed to make payments. You have the brain microchip as well, up and running right now. All right? It has developed very quickly. I'm gonna speak on that real quick, real soon. And you have these things that are out there. So now all it is that they just need the world, they need the system, right, to be put in place to facilitate the microchip and its usage at every single corner of life. You see what I'm saying? So then you have the brain microchip. You have Neuralink, which came out. Neuralink, Elon Musk, but then it's not just Neuralink. You have Neuralink, you have Synchron, you have Paradromics, right? Which is another one that just came out. You have a whole bunch of in China that are developing brain microchips. You have the Valve CEO Gage Newell, who is a Neuralink competitor, who is expecting to launch his brain microchip this year. You have Apple probes next frontier with new brain implant standard. So Apple is joining it and is allowing the Apple technology to work with the brain microchip. So it's all in front of us, man. All right, it's all literally right in front of us. And as the scriptures say in the book of Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, it says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, it will surely come. It will not tarry." And the vision is speaking the loudest it has ever spoken, because we're inching day by day closer to the end of Esau's kingdom. And it is at the end of Esau's kingdom that we're going to see all of these prophecies manifest. This is the vision, right, that was interpreted by Daniel that Nebuchadnezzar received. We're at the last part, right, of the statue, the iron mixed with miry clay. All right, we're at the last leg. So at the end of this kingdom, right, we're going to be seeing all of these things. Esau's kingdom is through, man. It's very through. Okay, but the brain microchip, it's up and running, man. And the thing about it is that the brain microchip has developed so quickly, and then you have all of these other competitors that have launched brain microchips out there, is the same thing. Basically, at this point, the microchip is out there. So it's just a matter of time for some type of chaotic event to accelerate the situation. And the brain microchip also is working as they told us they wanted it to work, right? Where it's doing all kinds of things. Basically right now, individuals who have the brain microchip are able to control technology using that brain microchip. That's where it's at right now, okay? To show you how far it's developed. So we're at that time, man. So with that being said, the hour of temptation is coming. This is Revelation chapter 3 verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So the hour of temptation is when you are going to be faced with taking the microchip, which is the mark of the beast. Now the hour of temptation is going to hit everyone. You know what I'm saying? Because it says for all the world. And the word world here is oikomini, which is talking about the earth. Alright, so everybody's going to be affected by it. Israelites and heathen. Okay? But regarding the salvation and the judgment, whether the heathen take the microchip or not, they cannot be saved. So they're going to be destroyed anyway. But regarding the Israelites, the hour of temptation for us is going to be whether you take it or not. Because if you take it, you're going to be destroyed. Right? I'm going to get that next. Alright, so it's the hour of temptation. And this hour of temptation can also read as the hour of piercing. Because when you break down the word temptation in Revelation chapter 3 verse 10, and also the word try, it goes from the word parasmos, which is an attempt or trial, to then, which is G3986, to then G3985, which is parazzo, right? Then you break it down further to G3984, which is para, which is, it says through the idea of piercing, right? So this can be read as, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also keep thee from the hour of piercing. And it's the hour of piercing, right? Because that's how you administer them. They will administer the microchip, by piercing the skin and administering it, whether through the hand or through the head. All right? Because that's what they have to do to administer the microchip too. They have to literally pierce the skull. Okay? I also keep thee from the hour of piercing, which shall come upon all the world, to pierce them that dwell upon the earth. So this is coming, man. And it's coming very soon. And so if you're an Israelite and you take the microchip, you're going to be destroyed, man. This is the warning from Yahweh Shemishai. One of the many warnings. Alright, and if you don't have faith in the Lord, okay, you won't have the fear of the Lord upon you. Which means that you won't have the fear of the Lord about this destruction. So then, when the mark of the beast is presented to you, you're going to take it because you don't actually believe, because the fear isn't upon you. But here it is, the judgment, Revelation chapter 14 and verse 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. So if any Israelite, alright, worship the beast and his image, worship, the word here is proskuneo, G4352, which is to kiss the hand in reverence, to bend the knee, right? What people don't understand is that when it is that you take the microchip, which is the mark of the beast, you are accepting Esau, Edom as their power. You would have forsaken Yahweh Shemishai. Okay? The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh Shemishai, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, who is Yahushai. So you're going to face the destruction. Right? America is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear fire. That is the lake of fire spoken about in the book of Revelation. Alright, America being set on fire by those ICBM missiles. And you're going to take part of that destruction, which is the second death, if you take the microchip, you Israelites, man. And those that are going to be destroyed in America, as it pertains to Zechariah chapter 13 and verse 8, are going to be 2/3 of our people are going to be destroyed in the land, which is America. And 1/3 shall be saved. So 1/3 of our people are going to repent, return to our power, have the Lord of Yahweh Shemishai upon them, and will not take the microchip, which is the mark of the beast, and will also be preserved from the perils of Jacob's trouble. and then be saved out of Jacob's trouble. You see, so this is all coming, man. It's on its way. Okay? So, with that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kodesh, and once again, double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to all of the Akim, like-minded, doing this work in truth and sincerity, you know, prophesying on the highways and byways, doing this work diligently. I say shalom to you all, man. And shalom as well to the men, women, and children that believe, all right, that are of the hopeful elect and also of the elect, you know. I say shalom to you all, man. Our salvation is nearer than when we believed. It's very close, all right. Times are really hot, and that's just it, man. With that, all praises once again to our power Yahweh Shemishai by Shemikar Kodesh. Shalom.